and then we'll do our intro here. Welcome everybody to another episode of the CCP podcast. We don't know what we're gonna be talking about tonight, but I'm here with my co-host, the great, the powerful, the illustrious,
Big Cameron.
and we don't really have an agenda. We're just kind of trying shit out. Cameron's recording. I'm recording.
My agenda is finishing up my dinner. So,
Oh.
all those of you that are listening with headphones, I hope you enjoy the sounds of ASMR as I'm smacking my lips together.
What's for dinner?
I made fried rice.
Yeah, you were saying that earlier today. Are you trying to
Pretty good.
tell me? Are you telling me this isn't shrimp fried rice? This is cam
No,
fried rice?
it's canned fried rice. I got pork and turkey in it. Just
You're
as
telling me
on a
a
whim.
Cameron fried this rice?
I mean, I don't see anybody else in my kitchen. My dog's outside, so I don't think he's doing anything. Don't think a dog fried rice would be that good, to be honest.
Could have some fucking hair in it. That would track. I just drank a A&W cream soda. Because why the fuck not?
What kind of cream soda did you get?
Just the cream soda. Not like orange cream or anything like that. Not because I don't like orange cream soda, just because.
Just a lack of availability kind of situation.
Yeah, Sierra bought me a 12 pack of cream sodas the other day, and I was like, all right, cool. I guess I like soda.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I like soda pop.
Soda pop's pretty good.
Says 90% of America and their obese children.
Oh yeah, all that sugar and all that artificial sweeteners. See what are you looking up there on Google tonight? Diesel. So that's what you're trying to spell? You're trying to spell diesel?
Don't fucking come at.
I just did.
I have a button mapped on my keyboard to mute, so we'll see if I successfully muted and unmuted myself when I received a stupid in-house phone call. There's nothing that chaps my ass quite like an in-the-house phone call.
Who's calling you in such a late hour?
That's
Also under the same roof.
My wife. It always is just like, motherfucker, why are you calling me? I can get down with a text message, but like calling me when we're in the same house, just
she wants a quiet household, and you can't have a quiet household when you're yelling across the house.
You could text message me though.
In the old days, people thought it was a fancy feature to be able to take and call somebody from one room to the other.
And now it's a fucking burden.
You should be grateful.
No. Mix salt with Vaseline and just watch. There's a very big part of me that wants to do exactly that.
What kind of ads do you get?
Take one swig of olive oil at night. Here's what happens. No. We'll do nothing of the sort.
Sierra
All right.
sees you in the kitchen tonight, asking,
Where's our
"Why
olive
do
oil?
you?"
Why do you smell like that? All right. So
Catches you
let's.
mid swig. It's like,
Yeah.
why'd you pick the extra virgin too?
I saw a thing recently on actually it was on Tom Segura's podcast, Your Mom's House. He had that one millionaire guy. Um, fuck, what's his fucking name? Brian Johnson. Okay, Mac Tools. This fucking guy. Do you know who this guy is?
No, I don't know who that is.
Oh boy, we could if we spent a little bit of time doing some research on him, we could have a very interesting conversation about what the fuck he's up to. He is a tech billionaire. He's very, very wealthy. He invested or owns or started. I will fuck. Here's his Wikipedia.
Hmm.
He's a very wealthy man. Apparently, he used to be Mormon as well, which that's a cool one I didn't know. American entrepreneur, venture capitalist, writer, and author. He is the founder of Kernel, a company creating devices that monitor and record brain activity. An OS Fund, a venture capital that from the early stage science and technology companies. Braintree, a company specializing in mobile and web payment systems for e-commerce companies. He owns Venmo, PayPal, and now his thing is anti-aging in a project he calls Project Blueprint. That's where I know him from. He is
What is Project Blueprint?
so Project Blueprint is really interesting. I have a pretty tertiary understanding of this. Oh, thanks Google for fucking knowing everything about me and listening to me. So this guy, I believe, well, we can figure out how old he is right here. He's 47 years old, according to Wikipedia. He is one of the most measured people, or he is the most measured person on the planet. So basically, just go away with the cookies. He is trying to de-age his body. So this is his son. He's like 18 years old, I think, and he is doing like these crazy protocols with all of these. It's a supplement. He's selling the supplement kit, which they're all things that he takes, and it's I don't know. It's
Do you think it actually takes those supplements?
so on his YouTube, yeah, he does. He takes. You should really look into this guy because he's fucking fascinating. Because he 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 does all of this stuff where he does all of this stuff to try and de-age his body. Everything he eats, everything he does during the day, every single part of this man's life is dedicated to him de-aging. So he's doing like this whole regiment where like he only eats certain foods, he only takes like certain supplements, he exercises in a very specific way, he takes these supplements, he does these like weird like in this picture right here, he's doing like a red light, full body red light therapy. He gets his blood drawn, and then they measure all of his shit, and they use his biomarkers and stuff in his blood that to determine like, oh, okay, Brian, you're short on this amino acid or this vitamin. You need like 10 milligrams more, and then he'll take that 10 milligrams more. And, That's his whole thing. Is just like trying to become as young as he physically can. Oh wow, he was on the checkup with Dr. Mike. Oh shit.
That's going to be an interesting topic, podcast to watch or
Yeah,
listen. Both.
I will be listening to this tomorrow. He's an interesting guy. He Every single part of this man's day is dedicated to de-aging his body, and he's doing it as like my understanding is he's doing it as like he's trying to do a service to the human race so that less people have to die. Like you don't have like his whole thing is don't die. In his head, if he's able to crack this code and become and like have this like regiment of food, exercise, what these different like various treatments that he does on his body, if you're able to do all of these treatments, you should essentially be immortal. Like your body will not
Oh.
decay.
How long has he been doing this project?
I don't know.
Because it'd be interesting to see how long he's been doing it. If he's been tracking like before and after.
So what I'll do here? Oh, yes. I don't want to. I don't know if how deep we want to go into this, but he he's fascinating, man, and like his whole fucking like he got really controversial online because it was reported that he took his 18-year-old son here, had his blood drawn. He had his son's blood drawn, and then had his son's 18-year-old blood transfused into him.
You know, there's stories of people in Hollywood doing that.
Yeah, not Brad Pitt. What's his fucking name? The vampire.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Yeah, the vampire. There you go.
Yeah, they had the Scientology.
Hillary Clinton.
The
Hillary
Scientology
Clinton.
guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that take and quote unquote drink young people's blood. Like they're not. I assume they're not actually drinking it, but
Well,
taking and having like taking their old blood out and putting the compatible young blood in it.
so what he like on the record to apparently that was just like the internet doing what the internet does best and blowing shit out of proportion. So apparently the context of that whole thing was that his dad is like he's obviously older, was starting to like experience like neurological decay and like these different physical decays, and through like a regimented process, Brian Johnson donated had his blood drawn from his body, which his body has a biological clock marker of an 18-year-old apparently, and that then had his blood transfused into his father, or like his plasma was like pumped into his dad, and that somehow helped his dad like start reversing some of the neurological decay, like Alzheimer's type shit, and yeah, and then that the internet blew that backwards and out of proportion because of his claim that his biological clock was so young. It's a whole fucking rabbit hole, Cam. And
I mean, it's so wild that you had basically your son's blood transfused into your body.
But he says that did not happen. He did not have his son's blood transfused into his body. His blood was his blood was infused into his dad, not his son. So we're talking son, father, grandfather. Father and grandfather did the blood transfusion. Son had no part of it. but
Oh,
father was making claims that his biomarkers were the same, like as how, like his biological clock, his body's age was the same as his son's.
oh,
It's just fucking it's
okay.
fucking it. Some of it seems like gobbledygook, but then when I've listened to him, I've never listened to him on like an actual like medical podcast. So and I didn't know he was on Dr. Mike's podcast. So that I will absolutely be checking in on that because
Have you watched Dr. Mike before I sent you that that podcast?
yeah. That's why I was willing to listen to it because anytime you have that other Dr. Mike on there, I don't like him. I don't like what's it's not Israel, it's Israel. Anytime Israel is involved in a conversation, I immediately tune it out. Kind of like liberals do with Joe Rogan. It's just like because he's just such a dickhead. I don't find what he has to talk about constructive. I don't think he's very professional, and I don't enjoy his outlook on stuff. And then he talks about like how people need to be healthy, and then he will openly admit to being on insane amounts of gear. So I don't particularly like Israel.
He's a very much do as I say, not as I do kind of guy.
That's the vibe I've gotten from him. I haven't really consumed too much of his media, and I don't totally care to. I'm sure you could change my mind if I just gave him a chance, but I mean, most of what I've seen him doing is like going through and like critiquing other celebrities like exercise regimes, and then he's like, yeah, see, like I watched one where he did Joe Rogan's morning exercise routine, and he was like looking at it. Joe Rogan was working out with Action Bronson, who's a rapper, and Israel. The only thing Israel had to say was like, yeah, Action Bronson's a fat piece of shit. Joe Rogan's mechanics while he's working out look like shit. Oh yeah, fucking light weights, all working out with little teeny tiny weights, and it's like, okay, man. I think Joe looks fucking great, and good for Action Bronson for getting in the gym and trying to not be a fat piece of shit. So it's like that wasn't necessary. That's just my thing. It's just like that's just not necessary. You don't have to be a dickhead.
I mean, the guy it literally looks like a thumb with two thumbs. How many mics do you know that look like a thumb with two thumbs that are very positive or supportive individuals?
Yeah, if I look like a thumb, I'd probably be a cunt myself. Not gonna lie, I'd probably be a cunt too. But yeah, I don't know. But I've listened to Dr. Mike a few times on different shit. I believe he did a check-in with Dr. Andrew Huberman, and I really like Andrew Huberman's podcast, which is where I got turned on to Dr. Mike by listening to Andrew Huberman, and then they did like a crossover episode, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I say I like.
Sorry, I stepped away there for a second.
You're good.
I'll be right back.
All right. Well, CCP, as you can see here, we're kind of just rolling with our typical conversation stream. Cameron and I, for those of you that don't know, have been lifelong friends for fucking almost 22 years, probably even more than that. So our cognitive flow in conversation is second nature. We've been talking shit to each other for a long time. But eventually we might be able to steer our conversation into talking about diesel engines. We're trying to perform an exercise on our podcasting skills where we might be able to, instead of talking about things we know nothing about, we might be able to talk about something we know something about, which I'm a diesel mechanic. I know diesel engines quite well. Cameron comes from a diesel background and he's now an electrical engineer. Oh, he's back.
Mind if I give my intro?
Yeah.
Guy taking putting words in my mouth over here.
What words are you about? What the fuck are you talking about? I didn't know you were there.
I've just been listening for a little while.
So I was trying to fill the dead
So
air.
you're giving the wonderful listeners of the CCP podcast a little bit of our history, some lore, if you will.
Indeed, we're selling merch next.
Yeah, we can do. I think we should take, if we're gonna do merch, we should take our logo for the guy that's in our logo.
Yeah.
Take it to a zoom in on his head of his brain, if you will, and you see two brain cells. One of them in the shape of an R, the other one in the shape of a K. That's us.
For the listener, Cameron and I oftentimes joke that we share a singular brain cell. Neither one of us are an expert in any of our chosen fields.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
I never said I knew what I was talking about. Just copy what other people say. That seems that it sounds good.
well, what more can you ask for from an internet expert? Yeah, I was kind of hoping to coax us into talking about diesel engines, and then
Want to talk about a freaking 180 shift, talking about Dr. Eugenics, and then let's take and turn this conversation to how an internal combustion engine works.
a real perfect machine, not the eugenicized human body.
I guarantee our first fans are gonna all be like ADD, ADHD kind of folks. Like, I can follow along with this podcast.
I'm on the same wavelength. I might share their singular brain cell. All right. Well, so afterward, maybe when we get through diesel engines, we can run something similar to a diesel engine and talk electric motor. Maybe you could, when we get to the electric motor, that would be more in your wheelhouse. You could share your screen, and I'll look at your screen.
Yeah, we could try and set something like that up. I'll have to mess with Discord or mess with OBS, make sure it all sits on screen.
Okay. So
I think we can make something happen.
So let's get into diesel engines here, Cam. So what do you know about a diesel engine? Let's start there. What do you know about a diesel engine?
So I, as an engineer, who clearly knows everything, knows that
typical engineer.
Yeah, just gotta start out with confidence. All right, the people want confidence. So you see, a diesel engine is basically a vehicle that will take chemical energy and turn it into a mechanical energy. It's an energy conversion machine, if you will.
Okay.
Because you got energy in the form of diesel fuel, and you got something really, really big that you need to move. And what that engine does takes the latent energy of your diesel and turns it into kinetic energy that you use to take and turn a shaft.
Rotational
and use that
force.
turning shaft to take and do whatever it is you need a turning shaft to do, whether that's take and spin a wheel, take and drive a pump, take and spin a motor, whatever you need that spinning action for, that's what the diesel engine does.
I like it. Okay. Do you know, so you're cheating because you're looking at my screen, but do you know who this man is?
When I took an automotive class, we discussed the the makers of different engines, and I've seen his name come up, but I would not have been able to see him or name him off the top of my head.
So Rudolf Diesel is essentially the grandfather of the diesel engine. All of our modern day diesel engines run off of the principles that this engine right here in this picture, this single cylinder two-stroke diesel engine was running off of. And we've come a long ways. Two-stroke diesel engines are no longer anywhere near a market standard. They're badass. When you can find them in the wild, they're badass and they're cool. They're a novelty. You're never going to see one on the fucking road. They are highly inefficient. Here's another.
So
This is
you think
probably a Caterpillar diesel engine. I believe Rudolf Diesel and somebody from the original Cat company started Caterpillar Diesel. We could probably just check on his wiki.
Hey, let me stop you there, Mr. History. Do you think we should explain to the lovely listeners the difference between a diesel engine versus what most people probably are familiar with is a gas engine that's in their vehicle?
Sure.
Because
So
we're talking engines, we're talking strokes. Now, so the basic components of an engine are as follows. You can pull up the little diagram there.
uh-oh.
We're,
Uh-oh.
oh no, we're
Uh-oh.
pirating. We're pirating
Uh-oh.
YouTube. No. Okay, so if you looking at when he gets there, looking at that photo, an engine is made up of couple main components. You got your piston, you got got a piston, you got a shaft, you got some sort of valve system, and what happens is as that piston moves down, the valve opens and allows air and or an air fuel mixture to enter that cylinder. Then as that piston then starts to move back up, it compresses that air fuel mixture. And then in a gasoline engine, you use what's known as a spark plug to ignite that air fuel mixture to then force that piston down, therefore turning that shaft.
This
In a
shaft
diesel
right
engine,
here.
that ignition typically happens when you squirt fuel inside of that compressed engine. So the
So
main difference is that you don't have a spark plug in a diesel engine.
that
Just,
is exactly. A lot of people will also confuse your glow plug right here for your spark plug. Like for people that don't understand what the difference between these two engines is you'll see spark plug, glow plug. They must do the same thing. They don't. In your gas engine, like Cameron's saying, your spark plug is absolutely essential to combustion. Diesel fuel combusts under pressure. The job of that piston is to come up and just squeeze the living shit out of a vaporized diesel fuel and cause an explosion. We harness that explosion, it drives that connecting rod down and turns your crankshaft, turning whatever implements on the back. In your gas engine, that piston comes up and compresses everything, and then that spark plug goes off at just the exact right moment where the stoichiometric ratio is perfect, sending that piston and that connecting rod back down, turning your crankshaft. Now, one of the big things too to keep in mind.
something fun to that I'll throw in there is you can have a gasoline engine operate like a diesel engine.
It's called dieseling, and it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, because unlike a diesel engine where the fuel delivery process is controlled by by an injector, a lot of gasoline engines that air fuel mixture is usually controlled by or your fuel is brought in either by in old school methods with a carburetor,
As this
or that
diagram on the right has.
or
So
or by your inject or by an injector squirting fuel into that air intake chamber.
So another
There's not.
really important part about diesel engines versus gas engines is the amount of compression. A gasoline engine under, like if let's take like a small block Chevy. A small block Chevy, you can probably see a healthy compression ratio of 80 psi. 80 or yeah, whatever. You can see about 80 psi. That's healthy. That's high compression. That engine's running really good. Now on your diesel engine, when that piston's all the way up and it's pushing all of that air and fuel ratio, all that air and fuel up, you're gonna see upwards of like almost 500 psi. Typical like consumer engines, you'd probably be seeing in the 200, 300 range, and that's what's allowing you to explode that fuel. Another big difference between the two types of engines here is your gasoline engine stereotypically is going to be a lot lighter. Your gasoline engine, the components inside of the engine do not need to be as robust. They're dealing with less force than your diesel engine. In order to get in your diesel engine to get all that chutzpah to compress the diesel fuel, you need really, really strong connecting rods. You need really strong pistons. You need really strong piston rings to create the seal. You need robust oil to seal those metal piston rings to the metal cylinder walls. You need a strong ass crankshaft to soak up all of that power and deliver it somewhere without shattering. A gas engine, not really an issue. So another difference, I'll just keep going to the two differences here. A diesel engine, you control your throttle, so the RPMs, the revolutions per minute of the engine, which is measured by the rotation of this crankshaft right here, how many times it turns in a minute. The way you control that speed is by the amount of fuel sprayed into that combustion chamber. And in this case, it would be a pre-combustion chamber, also a dying art. In your gasoline engine, you're controlling that RPM by controlling the amount of wait, what did I just say? On your
fuel, the air.
On your diesel, I got
the,
I got that mixed up. In your diesel engine, you control the amount of the RPM by the amount of airflow going into by the amount of fuel. On the gas engine, you control the amount of air going into the engine to control your throttle, your RPMs. Now, modern gas engines,
something called a throttle body.
On modern cars, that would be done with your throttle body, and it would be done by a computer that's going to be constantly monitoring things. In this diagram, it would be done by your carburetor. You'd go up on top of your carburetor and adjust your fuel spray to get a healthy running engine, and then you would just simply wide open throttle.
These days, you'll see those mostly in like your lawnmowers, your weed eaters,
hot rods, maybe.
As long as you're not in California, they tend to not like those.
Right. Now, on a diesel engine, you're just going to let that engine have all of the airflow it could possibly have. That's where you start getting into this turbocharger right here. So historically, diesel engines have been able to run without a turbocharger. Forced induction is what that would be called. And running with a turbo or a supercharger is forced induction. You're forcing air into the system. However, they run terribly. Like there's the old Detroit diesel engine that Chevy was putting in a lot of shit back in the day, I believe in the 80s. Probably got that date wrong. But those engines were notorious for just being gutless, meaning they had no power, but they could run all day, every day, all night, all day, all night. And they would just run and run and run. But really bad fuel mileage, worse than what you see in a modern diesel engine by a mile, and just really bad power. Then when we started to introduce turbochargers,
and then they put a turbo on it, and it started to run better, but that turbo only ran at like maybe 6 psi at the most. That's the amount of air pressure that turbo is able to produce as trying to funnel air into that engine.
So that's back
PSI
to
is pounds squared per inch.
So that PSI though is essential for how that diesel engine runs, because a diesel engine will take as much air as you can give it, and then it will accommodate with the amount of fuel that it's like a modern engine will see how much air are you giving me. I've got enough fuel for that, and it'll just jam all that shit in there, and you'll get a big cloud of black smoke and a lot of horsepower. No, you won't get a lot of horsepower. You'll get a lot of torque. That's another thing. The definition of horsepower versus torque is essential when we talk about diesel engines and gasoline engines. So we'll give this a quick Google search. The difference between, oh yeah, I spelled that right.
we get to witness your wonderful spelling live.
Whoa. So here we go. Torque is the twisting force an engine generates, while horsepower is the rate at which that force is used, essentially how quickly the engine can perform work. So in a diesel engine, you're going to have much lower horsepower. Your diesel engine is intended to pull a heavy load in like a pickup truck's aspect. Your diesel engine is intended to pull a very heavy load, a big ass trailer, at a steady clip. And it's going to move that trailer whether that trailer wants to be moved or not, and it will do it at a steady rate. Your gas engine is going to do that quickly. It's going to rev up, it's going to generate quick amount of torque. That torque curve is going to drop off, and then you're relying on horsepower. So once a gas engine, in order for a gas engine to move that same heavy load, there's a snap application of torque. That torque backs off, and then it's moving under horsepower, the ability to keep that load moving. Your diesel engine is just going to simply keep pushing that load forward or pulling that load forward. Oh man, they're fucking great for that. That's where you start seeing them in tractor pulls where, you know, they don't start off the line very quick. If you put a top fuel if you just put a funny car next to a tractor pull truck, the funny car is going to make it down the road. But if you put that same trailer behind a funny car, that funny car ain't moving nowhere.
Do you know why a diesel engine creates more torque than a gas engine?
Why is that, Ken?
It has to do with the length of the stroke or the distance the piston moves from the bottom of the cylinder to the top.
Uh-huh.
Because torque is a function of basically how much force you're applying at how far away you are from the turning point.
Right.
So
you have more of a lever.
You think about using your torque wrench. You get more turning force when you're holding it at the outer handle rather than right up against the socket or the bolt that you're trying to spin. Same thing with it.
It's the difference between turning a bolt with your fingers and turning a bolt with a wrench.
Right. And
you will not move the bolt with your fingers.
In a gas engine, the strokes that the pistons make tend to be a lot shorter than what
is the measurement from your wrist pin to the center of your wrist pin to the center of your crankshaft here, which would be your center bearings. So that distance in your diesel engine typically is going to be longer, like Cameron's saying, and is going to give you a higher torque rating. It's going to give you a bigger lever to pull the work, to do the work.
But that also explains why you don't have as high as horsepower, because you figure it takes longer for it to travel the distance between the top and the bottom of the cylinder in a diesel engine than it does in a gas engine.
A really common thing.
Turn it as quickly.
A really common thing that you'll hear guys talk about when they're talking about like an engine they built is, I bored and stroked it. So your bore is the diameter of the engine cylinder, which is where that piston is traveling up and down. So you can enlarge that cylinder within certain tolerances depending on the engine, usually like a couple thousandths of an inch, which a couple thousandths of an inch makes a world of a difference in compression. It's crazy how small of a measurement that is, but it makes a massive difference. Then when you hear them talking about stroked, they're either going to be talking about shortening the stroke or lengthening the stroke in their engine. That stroke again is the measurement between the center of your wrist pin up here and your main bear your excuse me your crankshaft. Stutter a bunch. So on like a lot of drag cars, bore and stroke them out. That way they can have higher torque values to get their engine off the line faster, and then that high horsepower will keep that car moving until they remove their foot from the throttle. So these
I think we've explained the fundamentals of an engine and the differences between a diesel and a gasoline engine.
I agree.
And
I
so
mean, if
and
we're definitely just scratching the surface, but um,
and we probably messed up somewhere in there. If anyone in the comments wants to correct us, feel free. And if you catch us, we'll pin your comment and we'll send you a sticker.
I'm not sending anybody a sticker for free. This costs money to make. What are you talking about?
Hey, we got to give the people hope, all right?
Uh,
One day, when this podcast gets big, maybe we could take and be able to pay our lovely auditors in stickers.
yeah. No
Got,
IRS. We
gotta,
only got paid from YouTube, but in stickers. YouTube only monetized us with stickers. Our
we
sponsors.
live in a sticker ecosystem
So
or
I
economy,
guess
if you
the
will.
I guess the takeaway is I think diesel engines are really cool. They are why I chose to center my profession around them. I work on diesel equipment, a lot of telehandlers, power generators, um, very telehandlers and various different kinds of forklifts. I work on trucks, light and heavy duty trucks. Um, Historically, I've worked on things like fire trucks, school buses, fucking. I've worked on a lot of diesel shit, and I try and focus on diesel. Um, Diesel technology is really cool. Um, Injection technology is really cool. I mean, the world famous International 7.3 liter and some Caterpillar engines have some of the coolest injection systems. I think the Huey injection system is one of my favorites. It's like the most idiot proof fuel injection system. I mean, your truck won't start if it doesn't have oil, and that's badass. Um, and then if you run out of oil, the truck shuts itself down, and that's pretty damn cool. Um,
That's a good safety system.
yeah, when it works, it doesn't always work that way. But
And, if you don't change your oil and things get clogged, sometimes it thinks it doesn't have oil when it does.
right, but
Because
I
how often you change your oil?
in my little Subaru when I feel like it.
Off is when you feel like it.
Usually about every 3 to 6,000 miles.
Yeah, that's what what you tell your dad when he asks you. What's
That's
the
You're right. That is what I tell my dad, and that is what I stick to though. Is if I don't feel like it at 3,000 miles, I let it run until probably like 4 or 5,000, and then I get to it and I do it. I've never really let my car go past 6,000 on
what's
an
the
oil
darkest
change.
what's the darkest you've seen your oil on your Subaru?
Um, Pretty dark. I wouldn't say diesel dark, but pretty dark. But the inside of my engine's pretty clean because I usually will run an oil system cleaner at the end when I do an oil change to try and
Oh,
just
you
keep
did.
that little fucking itty bitty cute little boxer engine alive. A whole,
Now if Subaru made a diesel boxer engine, would you drive it?
oh, fuck yeah. Be cool as fuck. That'd be cool as shit. I wonder if anybody makes a diesel boxer engine. Good thing I have the
Give that a
power of the
Google.
internet.
I think we've looked this up at one point. Deisel.
I knew that.
I gave you the spelling and you still spell it wrong.
2008 turbo diesel boxer. What? From Motor Trend?
What markets was that sold in?
Diesel options not only gives the company a real presence in Europe, but the end just, oh, what? Of course it's in Europe. They have all the cool shit.
Why can't we have it here? Yeah, I blame the EPA. They keep us from having cool cars. I say if it's good enough for Europe, it's good enough for America.
Common rail
Orlando.
diesel. Wow. Putting out a 148 horses and 258 pound-feet of torque. Volkswagen's 2-liter turbo diesel coming later this year provides 140 with 235. Its acceleration won't break any records, but its excellent torque is available at a measly 1800 RPMs. Ensures that this car effortlessly goes upgrades in fifth gear and has no trouble merging at freeway speeds. The Boxer layout provides the same advantages as Subaru's. Yeah, that's so cool. How do I fucking
How do we import one?
yeah,
What kind of problems did it have? How many years did this thing run?
dude, that's so crazy. I didn't know that. Oh, that's so rad. I have a massive boner right now. King's Boxer Diesel. Whoa. Oh, crankshaft failure is, it sounds like from reading this little description is like the common failure. That tracks. Wow, look at the fucking thing, Cam. That's crazy, man. The weakest in the block, weaknesses in the block of the wow. Wait, wait, can I buy one?
That guy just repairs them. You bring them to him and he fixes them.
eBay, what do you got for me, baby? 3 grand?
You
Oh,
sticking sticking a diesel boxer in your Baja?
oh, I need about $5,000 to do this.
So
Wow.
if this podcast blows up, if you're telling me we're putting
We
a
have a
diesel engine
fucking
in your
we'll be posting the
your
build
Baja.
videos on YouTube, bro. God, that's so sick. I'm so excited right now. This gas. I had this exact engine block kicking around in my garage for like 3 years.
Did you see the shipping on that thing? On that one that it had freaking $615 in shipping fees.
From the UAE, dude.
Some
What?
Arab dude is probably has your engine block like, fuck, I bought this off some American kid. Fuck, gosh, send it back. This thing sucks.
This one has free delivery. It's from Tennessee JDM Motors. Okay, where I'm going on. I'm in thick. Yeah, I'd probably have to replace the transmission too, huh?
Is that manual or automatic transmission?
Um, I mean the case looks manual, but I don't see oh, it's an automatic. Gay. EE202. Oh, okay, so now I know the nomenclature for this engine. Oh, that's so cool. Sierra. Subaru makes a diesel engine. It's only $4,000 on eBay.
Oh, great. You can ship prostitutes for money.
Yeah, I'll probably will sell pictures of my butthole to buy this engine.
Sign up now on Ralph's
on,
OnlyFans.com.
on the Patreon, bro.
Oh, why open up? Why open up Patreon? We can open up an OnlyFans, post exclusive videos on there.
Whoa. Whoa, dude. Oh man, that's so cool. That is so cool. Doesn't seem like there's too much of a okay.
Then that's a climate control cluster.
Fuck. That's pretty consistent here with the pricing is about $3,000, about $4,000 right there. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. That is really cool. All right, well that was a good sidebar. So yeah, that's there's the kind of basic rundown of a diesel engine and gas engine. Cam, do you want to do electric motors?
I'd like to give my brain muscle a little chance to recover. Maybe next episode we could talk about electric motors.
I
Like
that.
Good. We gotta leave the folks wanting a little more.
Yeah. Tune in next time for the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Oh, definitely.
All right, I'm stopping the recording.
All right. Well, thanks for joining the CCP podcast. Hope everybody has a good night.